Tonight, our brilliant Maroons dominate an Origin opener.
The push to give 5 weeks holiday a year to all Queensland workers.
Young thieves run riot in a stolen Porsche.
The bionic eye gifting sight to blind Australians.
Oh, biscuits, the bluey $1 shocker for families everywhere.
This is 9 News Queensland with Andrew Lofthouse and Melissa Downs.
Good evening. Our mighty Maroons are 1-0 up in the State of Origin, but tonight the brilliant win is being overshadowed by a single tackle.
The brutal shot knocked Bronco star Reece Walsh out of the match and saw his Blues hitman sent from the field in a moment that will go down in Origin history.
It was an unfortunate one that probably has taken away a little bit of the gloss from Queensland's success.
The tackle made more controversial by Sydney media's urging of the Blues to target Queensland's most electric player.
That's ridiculous.
I'll keep my feelings about that to myself.
I didn't mean it at all. I just went there to go tackle him and accidentally clipped his head.
It is what it is. That's footy at the end of the day, if he meant it or not, but just got to move on with it, I guess.
Joseph Suali'i will miss the match, facing suspension, admitting today he'd let his state down as our mighty Maroons close in on Origin glory. Jacob Chico, 9 News.
One of 3 teenagers charged over the 4-hour torture of a 13-year-old girl filmed on the Sunshine Coast has walked free from court. The 16-year-old girl was sentenced to 2 years detention, wholly suspended, on a conditional release order over the incident in Tewantin last March. She'll need to complete 160 hours of community service and undergo rehabilitation programs and psychology assessments.
35-year-old Brenton Sin has faced court today, charged over an alleged arson attack that destroyed multiple Petrie businesses last month. Sin remains behind bars tonight after being extradited from New South Wales earlier this week. He made no application for bail. Sin was charged with a total of 12 offences over a 10-day period, including arson, break and enter and fraud. He returns to court in August.
An extra week of paid annual leave sounds nice, and it could become a reality if trade unions get their way. The proposal also includes more money for younger workers, but employer groups say it will end up costing jobs and businesses.
Before dawn in Adelaide, the Prime Minister paying for coffee.
Gotta get the right one.
Pretty good here.
He was served by 24-year-old Katie. Tonight, though, unions want any younger colleagues to be the ones paid more.
Those young workers, they pay full rate on groceries, full rate on rents.
Junior rates apply to 75 awards in low-paid industries such as hospitality, retail and fast food, usually for those under 20.
As an 18-year-old, I'm earning $10 less than a 21-year-old, roughly.
This is quite a natural thing that junior workers would be paid less than seasoned workers. And that's reflected in the current settings.
Tonight, the change is just a proposal and would need to be negotiated into awards or approved by the Fair Work Commission.
I support the Fair Work Commission and Fair Work Commission having proper processes.
And in the City of Churches, a union prayer for another week of leave for Australian workers.
We would again urge that common sense be applied here.
These proposals come at a time of weakness in the economy and productivity, but they also come at a time of increased union influence here in the corridors of power.
The Prime Minister and Workplace Minister Tony Burke honoured and on hand as unions gathered last night.
Our trade union movement will not forget what this Labor government has done.
Charles Croucher, 9 News.
Masked thieves have stolen 2 luxury cars from a family home in Brisbane, taking them on a joyride across the southeast. Overcoming every defence the property owners had installed, tonight the gang is still on the run.
After a click of the garage switch, you can see these burglars are beside themselves, realising the luxury haul they're about to get their mitts on.
And took our bags and stole our car keys and drove off with both
cars.
A Porsche and a BMW. Here the thieves were minutes earlier, pulling up to this Paddington home in a Honda CR-V, jumping over a concrete wall, unlocking this glass sliding door, all while owners, James and Elise, were asleep inside.
It's just super frightening. We have a family. We had my 7-year-old stepson inside when this happened.
The gang seen fleeing in the now fleet of cars, hours later ditching the BMW in Stafford Heights. Police locating the Porsche at Acacia Ridge. Tonight, the thieves are still on the run and could strike again.
This is the 4th incident in 2 years that we've experienced. We've upped the security of every time we've been broken into.
This home has all the bells and whistles when it comes to home security hurdles. It seems these intruders were all too confident they could clear, leaving these homeowners feeling powerless, like all they can do is watch as their home is targeted again and again.
We've got security cameras, we've got security alarm, all the doors were locked and even the front gate had a chain and padlock around it.
Young crims who are partying and the party in power refuses to acknowledge there's a youth crime crisis.
No one will fix crime completely, and anyone who tells Queenslanders they can is being dishonest.
Lily Greer, 9 News.
There are fresh questions tonight over the discovery of a woman's skeletal remains at Kangaroo Point Cliffs. Live to Anna Rawlings at Brisbane Magistrates Court. Anna, coronial findings have devastated her family.
Constance Wacho's family maintains she was murdered, Melissa, but today a coroner could not agree. It was a grim discovery, the remains of a woman found in a duffel bag in long grass at the Kangaroo Point Cliffs in 2018. Later identified as 36-year-old mother of 10 Constance May Wacho, who had last been seen a year before. A coronial inquest in 2022 hearing she had been couch surfing. The last person to see her alive was her then partner. Multiple witnesses testified at the inquest, and although the coroner did rule today that Constance's death was suspicious, she said there was not enough evidence to point to who killed her or how she died.
We need justice for Constance May Wacho. That's what we need.
We want an invitation from the new Queensland Police Commissioner to come and meet with us, because we need to know what's going on.
Now, the Queensland Police have told me a short time ago that a senior officer is going to get in touch with Constance's family while detectives are going to review the coroner's findings, Andrew. The investigation is still open and active, so anyone with information that could help is urged to come forward.
Thanks, Anna. A taxi driver who witnessed a fatal attack on his elderly passenger is calling for harsher penalties for youth offenders. He's told 9 News he feels re-traumatised, knowing the teenager responsible could be free in 2 years.
It was an act so callous, taxi driver John McDougall will never forget it.
Witnessing that sort of crime really takes its toll on you.
Dashcam vision shows the moment he pulled up to Toowoomba's Grand Central Shopping Centre last February, only for his would-be passenger to be pushed headfirst onto the road and robbed of his backpack.
He had blood on the back of his head, his glasses are broken, shivering sort of thing, hardly moving at all.
The victim, 75-year-old Robert Brown, died in hospital a week later, remembered as an avid local photographer.
He liked to take a lot of photos of what was going on in the community. He'll always have a soft spot in our heart for Robert.
Last week, the teenager who pushed John learned his fate after pleading guilty to manslaughter, robbery and unlawful use of a motor vehicle. We can't name him because he was a minor at the time of the offence, handed 7 years jail, only half of which he'll need to spend behind bars, including time already served, meaning he could walk free by 2026. If he'd been just 3 months older, he could have faced up to life in prison.
I really didn't sleep at all that night because I was just traumatised by the fact that such a manifestly inadequate sentence can be given for someone taking someone else's life.
Grand Central is Toowoomba's biggest shopping centre, but John says ever since the attack on Robert last year, the main taxi rank is rarely used by passengers.
They're fearful that the same sort of thing may happen to them.
John calling for harsher penalties for youth offenders.
I mean, it seems to me there's no real justice for a lot of victims, and That's what I'd like to see change.
2 others charged over Robert Brown's death are still before the courts. Claire Todd-Hunter, 9 News.
Jack's Law has officially been introduced in New South Wales. The law was established in Queensland 5 years ago by the parents of Jack Beasley after their son was stabbed and killed in Surfers Paradise. The law allows police to use detection devices to wand people for the possession of knives in a range of public spaces.
It's actually very emotional, it is.
Yeah.
It really is. It does mean a lot to us, and to our family. So, and in Jack's honour.
The Beasleys met with the New South Wales Premier yesterday and were in Parliament to see the new laws pass.
When it comes to buying a house, Queenslanders are being forced to look further and further out of the city. Suburbs once deemed affordable are disappearing, with many fearful of what the future holds.
Almost 2 years on from a summit that pledged to address the housing crisis, the Queensland Government's plan of attack is once again under attack.
Woeful, and the reason we say that is we know we have some 40,000 Queenslanders on a social housing wait list.
Concerned that houses aren't being built fast enough.
There are a lot of pressures on the housing system, no one is disputing that.
Queensland's peak housing body is calling for it to be the cornerstone of next week's budget.
We need a government that is focused on action and not just words.
But the minister is adamant the best plan has already been laid, with a $2.8 billion investment promised for the next financial year.
The Queensland Government has already released a comprehensive housing plan that many reputable organisations have referred to as nation-leading.
There were a bucket load of promises made and they weren't fulfilled. And Queenslanders are living through that.
It comes as Queenslanders continue to be priced out of the housing market. 5 years ago, 50% of Brisbane's suburbs were considered affordable. That figure is now just 27%.
So that is half the amount pre-COVID.
Strathmore, the most affordable, with a median house price of $685,000, followed by Griffin and Alexandra Hills.
There's definitely more suburbs that are affordable for units, but when it comes to houses, it's quite slim picking now.
Meg Sides, 9 News.
The Greens leader is threatening to sue the federal Attorney General over comments about the party's involvement with pro-Palestinian protests. Labor and the coalition are accusing the Greens of stoking division for political gain.
Balaclava-clad pro-Palestinian protesters have been systematically targeting government MPs' offices, promoting their vandalism on social media and their spraying of the red inverted triangle, a symbol of Hamas. A covert campaign claiming Labor's complicit in genocide, which echoes the Greens' claim.
Labor's ongoing complicity and support for the invasion. That is complicity in genocide.
Protests outside Minister Julie Collins' office suggesting Greens' involvement. The Greens leader himself calling for a blockading of government.
The Greens have been nothing other than causing division.
Unfortunately, the Greens have been sprung doing that.
The Attorney General going further, accusing the Greens and its leader of encouraging criminal behaviour.
My lawyers have written to the Attorney General regarding what I consider to be defamatory statements.
But attacks like this one on Labor MP Jed Carney's Melbourne office on Tuesday night has all MPs on edge.
They seek in a divisive way to raise these issues in order to then weaponise them.
We are a party of peace and non-violence.
There have been 725 reports of threats being made against Australian MPs, up 160%. So every politician has an interest in avoiding incendiary comments. Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
A suspected Russian-Ukrainian terrorist has been arrested in Paris just weeks before the Olympics. The 26-year-old suffered serious burns after an explosion in his airport hotel room. Investigators found guns, false passports and materials for bomb making. Narendra Modi has secured the backing of his political allies, allowing him to form a coalition government. The Indian Prime Minister was forced to rely on their support after failing to gain a majority in the country's election. He's expected to be sworn in for a historic third term over the weekend.
As we go to air tonight, commemorations are underway in France, marking the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Europe correspondent Jess Millward is in Normandy.
It's the morning of the D-Day anniversary here in France, and already we've seen some really poignant and moving moments. The main services will take place this afternoon to be attended by the royal family, the French President Emmanuel Macron and US President Joe Biden. So naturally, security has been very tight here in France and also in the UK, where commemorations have also been taking place to mark the anniversary of the invasion that would change the course of history. A Normandy beach landing at 7:26 a.m. The exact moment 160,000 Allied soldiers stormed French shores 80 years ago. The service, one of several held at sunrise in France. D-Day Eve commemorations started across the English Channel at Portsmouth, where troops set out from. The spectacular event had song, dance and stories of the bold mission to liberate Europe in the largest amphibious invasion in military history.
I always considered myself one of the lucky ones that survived because so many of us didn't.
The King leading a long list of dignitaries to pay tribute to the bravery.
For we are all eternally in their debt.
Eric Bateman was there on that day in 1944. He spoke alongside his two great-grandchildren, the King and Queen, among many, moved to tears.
So many men and women, including my dear friend Fred, who joined up with me, but unfortunately never made it. I'm proud to be here today to honour them and to make sure they will always be remembered.
A breathtaking fly past to conclude, as more veterans gathered on the French shores where so much blood was shed. The Normandy landings weren't just by sea but air as well. The some 13,000 paratroopers that descended in the dark of night commemorated in a reenactment over French fields. Australia's main contribution to D-Day was in the air. Our aircrew serving in dozens of squadrons considered so crucial in the overall success of the invasion. As the sun set, commemorations took a more sombre tone before 25,000 war graves lit up in memory of the so many fallen. In Normandy, France, Jessica Millward, 9 News.
A violent attack caught on camera. Taiwanese tourist claims of racism after a disturbing video surfaces.
The job that requires hands-on experience taken, who snatched Domino's coveted hand modelled role.
Plus, simple life advice from Australia's oldest woman, 110 today.
And at the end of sport, these war dogs in action. You won't believe what they're capable of. Police are investigating an assault on a group of Taiwanese tourists who claim they were randomly attacked at South Bank on Monday night. On Instagram, video shows the moment the 4 tourists were set upon by a group of teenagers near the Queensland Museum after they say they had rocks thrown at them. All 4 suffered minor injuries. Anyone with information is asked to contact police.
After a nationwide search, a Queenslander has been chosen to be Domino's Pizza's new hand model. Tonight we're getting a sneak peek behind the scenes at his first job and the new products from the pizza chain coming to a billboard near you.
His application was a standout, showcasing his strong but soft hands. 39-year-old Matt Strain from Logan was chosen from more than 100 applicants to be Domino's Pizza's new hand model.
Well, they are unblemished by, hard work, I think. That probably helps a lot.
The high school teacher even offered to shave his hands if necessary. Today was Matt's first day on the job that pays $100 an hour, and he gets to taste test the food too.
Is it harder than you would think, or...?
You know what? It's not the hand modelling that's difficult. It is the standing, actually.
While there were many outstanding applicants, judges decided Matt was a slice above the rest. It's not just about his hands. He does the job with zest And a sense of humour too. Matt's hands will feature in a new advertising campaign that includes a new product range inspired by a popular takeaway food. The search for a new hand model campaign went viral online, inspiring some very creative applications.
We had people doing shadow puppets. We did have a couple of sneaky feet come into the pictures.
Matt from Logan doesn't have an agent yet, but he's open to offers for other modelling gigs.
I am available if anyone wants to, hire me for more hand modelling gigs or other body parts.
Ebony Cavallaro, 9 News.
Australia's oldest woman is celebrating her 110th birthday. South Australian great-grandmother Lorna Henstridge has been thrown a garden party by 3 generations of her family.
It's almost overwhelming because I would not expect it. I would be hobbling around.
Lorna still enjoys a daily crossword, walks and coffee dates with her daughter. And her secret to a long life, staying active. Giving hope to those without sight, tonight the future of the bionic eye is here. In a 9 News exclusive report, how it will change the lives of many Queenslanders. That story is ahead. Lift off. Boeing blasts into the space race, a launch years in the making.
The Outback Wrangler face to face with the widow of co-star Chris Wilson.
On a highway to climate hell, the stark warning from the UN.
Plus, water prices to surge, how much extra it'll cost you. Outback Wrangler Matt Wright has come face to face with the widow of his co-star Chris Wilson at Sydney's Federal Court. Danielle Wilson is suing Wright and Australia's aviation regulator over the helicopter crash that killed her husband in 2022.
It's not going to bring our mate back, is it?
We'll have more on this story in A Current Affair tonight.
We're on a highway to climate hell. That's the warning from the UN as the planet experiences its hottest year ever. The average global temperature was 1.63 degrees higher over the past 12 months, the warmest period on record. A freight train has collided head-on with a passenger train in the Czech Republic, killing at least 4 people and injuring more than 20. No word yet on the cause.
Boeing's Starliner is tonight soaring to the stars with 2 NASA astronauts on board.
The historic launch following years of budget blowouts and delays.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
At long last,
liftoff.
Boeing gets its page in the history books.
Carrying 2 American heroes, drawing a line to the stars for all of us.
A decade in the making, Starliner, with crew on board, leaves planet Earth. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams enjoyed their final steps on Earth for now. There were prayers and flowers, one last look and a wave, then a message before they were bound for the International Space Station.
Now let's put some fire in this rocket and let's push it to the heavens.
Starliner has been plagued by costly delays. 2 previous attempts were aborted. Today, a cause for celebration and relief.
I see the hard work of the team and just felt, a sense of accomplishment.
There was praise from Elon Musk. Starliner is to rival SpaceX's Crew Dragon in the commercial space race.
What we're doing is expanding our reach to the stars.
Tomorrow, Boeing's capsule will dock with the International Space Station. The crew will test Starliner's ability to act as a shelter. Sonny and Butch also carry a pump to fix a plumbing problem on board the ISS. They're expected to return home in 9 days. Humanity is reaching for the stars. In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
Prince William has shared a touching moment with a D-Day veteran who asked him about Princess Catherine's health.
I was going to ask you if your wife was getting any better.
Yes, she'd love to be here today.
The Princess of Wales has put public duties on hold while undergoing cancer treatment. Water bills on the rise. How much extra you're set to pay? The details next.
Limited edition Bluey coins being sold online. You won't believe what they're going for.
Exclusive, the future of the bionic eye is here, giving the gift of sight. So how does it work?
Plus, a frightening encounter for a family on safari. Money matters now, and global interest rates have begun falling, while closer to home, the big banks are reaching record highs. Here's finance editor Chris Kohler.
Commonwealth Bank's share price has been one of the finance stories of the year. Today it topped a new record high, around $125 a share. That happened right on cue, because ABS data today also showed the average new mortgage size across Australia is now a thumping $675,000. And that's a record too. So today we saw clearly big loans mean big bank share prices. CBA helped the share market as a whole, the ASX gaining 52 points. The whole finance sector is now up 3% this week. And the Aussie dollar was back within reach of 67 US cents today. Finally, interest rates around the world are starting to come down. The Bank of Canada cut rates for the first time in 4 years last night. The European Central Bank is tipped to do the same tonight. And markets are pricing in 1 or 2 cuts in the US this year. Most major economists reckon Australia will be a little bit behind. 1 cut expected in November.
Checking petrol prices now, and the average for unleaded in Brisbane is $1.82. Diesel is $1.95. The average for unleaded on the Gold Coast is $1.84. RACQ says Brisbane's unleaded prices are beginning to hike, so fill up now from stations charging $1.77 per litre or less.
It was supposed to be a timeless treasure for the biggest Bluey fans. The Royal Australian Mint launching a commemorative coin collection dedicated to the beloved Brisbane character. But black market traders are taking advantage, scalping the set in a move labelled un-Australian.
Hey, nice one, Bluey. In a cost of living crisis, getting your hands on cold, hard cash has never been tougher.
Could that be $5?
$5! But could this be the biggest financial challenge Aussie families have faced for some time? Bluey's dollar bucks breaking the internet.
And knowing our grandchildren in America adore Bluey, my husband and I both set about enrolling for the lottery.
Grandmother Jane Horn, one of thousands left heartbroken after entering an online ballot overnight for the Royal Australian Mint's 3-piece commemorative Bluey coin collection, retailing for $55. Other healer diehards lined up at select distributors from early this morning.
About an hour and a half, 2 hours, give or take.
We love Bluey! Only to miss out when the coins sold out. But then came the kicker, canny canine currency traders unleashing on platforms like eBay. They've spent today reselling chips for up to $400 and fetching a hefty profit.
Which we found anti-Australian.
It's being labelled a doggone disgrace. If you didn't snag a Bluey buck, the good news is the coins are legal tender. So by paying cash on your shopping, there's a chance you'll pick one up at the checkout. In the meantime, perhaps try the bank of mum and dad.
$5 bucks.
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Thanks.
Abby Gearin, 9 News.
This is the moment a toddler was grabbed by a giraffe while visiting a drive-through safari park in Texas. The young girl was sitting in the tray of the ute with a bag of food for the animal when it snatched her.
Paisley was holding the bag like this, and the giraffe went to get the bag, not get her, but ended up getting her shirt too and picking her up.
Thankfully, her mum was close by and able to catch.
Southeast Queenslanders will pay more for their water from next month, with urban utilities hiking prices. Starting July the 1st, the average household bill will rise 3.6% or around $14 a quarter. Urban Utilities says it's worked hard to keep bill increases as low as possible while continuing to invest in water and sewerage infrastructure. Up next, all the fallout from State of Origin Game 1. We take you inside the Maroon Sheds. Following Queensland's record win, only 9 News has the exclusive access.
These dogs aren't all bark. Find out what they can do at the end of sport.
And after a perfect week of sunshine, another one heading our way again tomorrow. It'll probably be one of the coolest days of the week due to some fresh westerlies. They've already started to kick in, and the wind chill factor right now just 16 degrees.
Good evening. The Blues' bash tactics have backfired spectacularly, with the Maroons drawing first blood in the State of Origin series. Billy Slater had a game plan and it was executed with precision. The result ensuring the Maroons now head to Melbourne with the chance of wrapping up the series even before a single game in Queensland.
Leaving a sizable mark in Sydney, the Maroons depart.
I think also Munster's been so instrumental for Queensland for so many years, and they are big shoes to fill, but I didn't have to be Cameron Munster, I just had to be Tom Dearden.
Jermaine Hopgood received a brutal introduction to Origin. All worth it to savour a win on debut with family who've seen him overcome the toughest of times.
Dream come true, mate. It's hard to put into words.
Being surrounded by kids keeps the captain.
He's a freak, mate. He just knows how to communicate with everyone. He leads by example, and mate, there's no other skipper I'd love to play for.
I'm getting close to the end, I know that, so I'm just enjoying every game, and this group makes it really enjoyable.
Having won the series opener down here in Sydney in enemy territory, the Maroons won't get the luxury of home ground advantage again for Game 2, with the next match to be played down in Melbourne.
I feel there's a lot of improvement left in this team, and we'll get that.
Adam Jackson, 9 News.
A State of Origin rivalry explodes again tonight with Game 2 of the Women's Series in Newcastle. Darren Lockyer is there. Lockie, the Maroons must win to keep the series alive. Will the last night's game give them some extra confidence?
Oh, without a doubt, Jono. I think we saw scenes last night in the coverage about the girls together at their team hotel watching the men, and they would have seen the scenes after the game, how happy they were and how jubilant they were with their performance, and I'm sure that'll inspire them tonight, and it needs to.
Now, Lockie, the Sky Blues came out firing in Game 1, didn't they? How does Queensland make sure that doesn't happen again?
Well, they've got to get their defensive intensity going early. The first game, they were definitely lacking that. They've got to get their line speed, get up in the faces of the Blues. And with the conditions tonight, there's a bit of rain around, and their most influential player and their halfback, Ellie Brigginshaw, she goes back to the number 7 jersey at halfback. So her kicking game will be really important. If she can turn the Blues around early in the tackle count, I think that'll go a long way to the result tonight. So they're up for the challenge, but they'll have to play very well to win.
And good to see you looking so fresh after last night, Lockie. Thank you. And coverage tonight of that game from Newcastle, live and free right here on 9 at 7:30.
After the drama of the Origin opener, there are 7 NRL matches to be played this week, and here are my tips. In the Titans-Rabbitohs game, I'm backing the Titans, while in the Cowboys-Warriors encounter that follows, I favour the Cowboys to sneak home in Townsville. And at Suncorp Stadium on Saturday night, it's the Broncos to chalk up a hat-trick for Queensland teams with a win over the Sharks. My other round 14 winners are the Dragons, Storm, Panthers and the Bulldogs.
Tate McDermott has backed fly half Tom Lynagh to play within himself in the Reds' quarter-final clash with the Chiefs in Hamilton. Lynagh returns to the starting side for Queensland, beating out Lawson Crichton and James O'Connor.
Tommy's developments come from having 3 other good 10s that he's competing with week in, week out. Guys like James O'Connor, guys like Harry McLaughlin-Phillips. We don't want him to be a hero tomorrow night. We just want him to do his core game to the best of his ability.
Tomorrow's game live on Stan Sport. It seems no one's told the Lions winter has arrived. The side playing shirts versus skins touch footy in this morning's captain's run. Brisbane's season is on a knife's edge as they prepare to take on the Bulldogs, but Chris Fagan isn't pressing the panic button just yet.
We are in a precarious position, we know that, but thinking about that's not going to help us win games of footy. If you focus on the result, you can play with a bit too much fear inside of you. You've got to focus on the process.
A boost for Brisbane. Brandon Starcevich is expected to make his return from a calf strain. A successful but rusty start to the T20 World Cup for Australia, who defeated Oman in the first match in Barbados. David Warner hit 56 on his way to becoming Australia's highest T20 run scorer. But Marcus Stoinis was the star, belting 67 as the Aussies made a modest 164. Stoinis then took 3 for 19 with the ball as Australia won by 39 runs. Sadly, Alex de Minaur out of the French Open, but look, how good was Origin last night, and hopefully the girls will level the series tonight.
Yep, for sure.
Crossed. Thanks, Jono. 9 News can tonight give you a rare insight into the day-to-day training of Australian Defence Force explosive detection dogs. Many are rescue pups, hand-picked before undergoing intensive training at Enoggera's Gallipoli barracks.
They serve our country for around 8 years. That's 56 in dog years.
They essentially provide a way that can't necessarily be replicated with other technologies and other means.
Meet the 7th Brigade's 8 ADF Explosion Detective Dogs, or EDDs, one of just 4 teams around the country undergoing daily training to sniff out explosive devices, weapons and ammunition.
It's an expedient and efficient way to detect those explosive threats.
They come in all shapes and sizes, typical working breeds like collies and kelpies preferred but not essential.
The thing we look for mainly is hunt drive and prey drive.
A close bond with their handler key to mitigating threats at major events like the Olympics.
It's the ability of the handler to be able to read the body language of the EDD to make that assessment and then potentially call in those other assets and technologies.
The majority of explosive detection dogs are rescues, adopted from council shelters, particularly ones with high energy like Casper here, who are hard to rehome.
They're very high drive and can become quite destructive, which is perfect for us. So we want a dog that has that drive. It's all a big gain to them.
The EDDs will be in action at a 7th Brigade Open Day next Saturday. Claire Todd-Hunter, 9 News.
Well, in just 3 minutes, giving the gift of sight to everyday Queenslanders in a 9 News exclusive report, how this new bionic eye is changing lives. That story is next. But firstly, here's Garry with a check on the weather. Gaz, it was a beautiful day in the River City.
Oh, Andrew, we don't get too many better than that. And it's not just in the city. Entire state today we've had some perfect weather conditions. But the cool, dry air we're feeling in the southeast, that'll be pushed right across far north Queensland as our entire state wakes up to a chilly Friday morning. I'll have your full forecast up next.
An Australian-made bionic eye has restored a sense of sight to a group of totally blind patients. The technology creates flashes of light to help them avoid obstacles and find items around the home.
When Colleen's bionic eye was first switched on, the 74-year-old, who is totally blind, got a bright surprise.
And it was like, oh, so it was quite exciting to actually see something.
The Geelong great-grandmother is among 4 blind Victorians to receive a bionic eye in 2018, which has given them enough functional vision to do ordinary tasks like the laundry.
Continuing to produce really good outcomes for these patients. So tick, tick, tick.
The Centre for Eye Research Australia and Bionics Institute technology comprises an electrode array implanted behind the eye and glasses featuring a camera. That camera converts images into electrical pulses. These activate retinal cells and create flashes of light called phosphenes to help patients detect edges, shapes and movement.
So navigating around an obstacle course, identifying a door, locating objects on a table.
By using the device, I can tell that, there's trees or buildings or things like that.
Colleen still requires a cane and a guide dog, but the bionic eye means she can better navigate unfamiliar spaces inside and out.
To allow these people to have greater independence.
The next step in the Bionic Eye project is to embark on a larger clinical trial that aims to recruit more people with blindness worldwide.
The fact that it's so safe and is continuing to actually give really good results is so important.
Certainly enhances the experience of getting out there in your community.
Emily Rice, 9 News.
Gary's back now with the full weather forecast. And Gaz, we've seen some great whale pictures this week, but you have had your very own close encounter.
That's right, Melissa. It was an incredible experience, and it was only yesterday morning, if I can paint the picture for everyone at home. Just after sunrise, I'd had an early morning surf at South Stradbroke, could see some whales on the horizon, and this is what I encountered. Take a look at these pictures. I'd only just got my phone out, hit record. Within moments, a huge humpback breached and nearly landed on top of me. And even better, there was someone behind me on a jet ski filming with a GoPro. big thank you to Karina Ma, who sent me these pictures. I now have evidence of that close encounter. If you want to try whale watching at the moment, it's incredible on the Gold Coast. Maybe a little bit safer to do it with one of our tour operators. They're providing some incredible experiences at the moment. Weather will be ideal for it the next few days. Let's have a look at weather now across southeast Queensland. Temperature-wise and the minimums, well, 4 degrees for Oakey and Warwick, topping out at 24 around Tin Can Bay, 23 in Brisbane, Artsfield, Ipswich, Beaudesert and Redcliffe. The weather map, rain to continue across eastern Victoria, southeast and central New South Wales with some heavy falls likely. For the capitals, a couple of showers in Perth, Sydney and Canberra, cold morning in Alice Springs down to 2 degrees, sunny in Darwin and 29. Queensland, cooler temperatures across our state, mid-20s for the north, lower Burdekin, low 20s for the central coast with Sundays, Wide Bay and Capricornia. Cold morning inland, but a top of 21 for Mount Isa and Longreach. Roma down to 1 degree. Here in the southeast, early inland fog, followed by a beautiful sunny day. It'll be a cold morning, but fresh westerly winds bringing a cool day. Toowoomba only heading for a top of 13. Most of the suburbs just around 20 degrees. Moreton Bay, southwesterlies at first, tending westerly 10 to 15 knots. Brisbane, a sunny day, fresh westerlies and a high of just 20 tomorrow. Your outlook, Saturday morning cold, down to 9 degrees, a top of 21. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 23, maybe 25 for Wednesday. Ipswich, a week of beautiful blue sky days. The morning's cold, but days warming up over the weekend and up to 25 by Wednesday. The Goldie, a week of sunshine, light winds, cool mornings, awesome days. Temperatures rising up to about 25 by the middle of next week. Sunshine Coast, mostly sunny, light westerlies the next 7 days. Once again, cool mornings but comfortable days, and we could see mid-20s by early next week. So a little bit chilly tomorrow, guys, but we're in for some beautiful days once again.
Good news. Thanks, Garry. And before we go, let's take a look at a story you won't want to miss on 9 News tomorrow night.
The day that changed the course of history. D-Day, 80 years on. The stories and the sacrifices. Join 9 News as we remember. 9 News, your news, tomorrow at 6.
And that is 9 News Queensland for this evening. Ali Langdon is next with a current affair.
Thanks for your company from all of us. Good night.
Good night.